What's happening, everybody on YouTube? Steve here with Rake and Profit over at rakeandprofit.com. Come back to you with another video. And in this video, I'm going to give you 12 tips to better manage your finances as an entrepreneur. And the reason why I'm making this video is because I know a lot of people who are watching my channel, Rake and Profit, they're coming here to learn about how to make money. They want to make money on eBay, Amazon, maybe they want to start their YouTube channel, maybe they want to, publish books or wholesale or private label. There's a whole wide array of ideas that I talk about in terms of how to make money online and with e-commerce. But one issue that I've had in my own personal life, and I've noticed, a lot of people that I talk to, they're dealing with this as well, and they're struggling with this, is actually keeping and holding and growing the actual money that they have in their life. It's so easy to make money. Really, making money isn't the hardest part, of finances. People are always saying, I want to learn how to make money. I want to make money on eBay and Amazon. But the real challenge comes into actually holding on to that money and even going a step further, growing it and growing your nest egg right there. And one of the keys to growing your nest egg and building up your net worth and your wealth is managing your finances. And I know, again, like I said before, this is something I've struggled with, and I've actually been working and studying and implementing a lot of things lately that has been helping me to manage my finances. And just want to make this video sharing some of the things that I'm doing and some of the things I wish that I started doing 3-4 years ago. So with that being said, let's dive into the video and let's get the show on the road. All right, guys. So tip number one to better manage your finances as an entrepreneur is to make sure that you're tracking your spending. And again, these tips are going to apply not only to your personal life, but also your business life as well as an entrepreneur, but they really go hand in hand. So make sure you track your spending. That's really big. And what do I mean by that? Take a look at your credit card statements a couple times a month, your bank statements, and actually take a look and dive into the meat and potatoes of what you're spending your money on. To give you an example, I did this exercise a while ago, and I realized that one thing that I was spending so much money on, and I didn't realize how much it added up to, was food. When I combined my grocery bill to eating out dinners and lunches and snacks and just all these different things I used to do out on the road, because I've gone on a lot of road trips, and a lot of times I'm just kind of lazy and I don't feel like cooking a meal, so I'll just go out to Moe's or Whole Foods. I didn't realize that I was spending some months up to $1,000 just on eating out and groceries. And I was like, boom, what in the world? That money could be going to so many other better uses, a retirement fund, my emergency fund. I was wasting so much money eating out, and I never would have known this if I didn't dive into my credit card statements and add everything up. So one thing you could do is you could take out a pen and a pad, and each and every day you could write down everything you spend your money on. That's one technique. Also, another thing that you can do, which is what I've done, is I use a credit card for pretty much everything, because when you use a credit card, it tracks everything. So you can go in at the end of the month, and then you could create a spreadsheet with all the categories, whether it's gas, food, bills, rent, all that. And then just record everything. So for example, if I went out to eat, I would just continue going down, writing all the numbers down. At the bottom, I would just use the spreadsheet to calculate all the total. And you'll see right then and there what you're wasting a lot of money on. So make sure you do this exercise and make it a habit. It's really, really big. And it'll definitely help you to hold on to money and continue to grow your nest egg, knowing what you're spending on. And also you can take action on any issues you're dealing with. If you know you're spending too much eating out, or you're spending too much on clothing and shoes, you know that you can cut back on it. So that's really big right there. Number two, this is huge if you're running a business. Make sure that you separate your personal and your business. So what I mean by that is, don't just have one credit card that you use for eating out and buying clothes and paying your personal bills and all that, and then mixing it with your business expenses, and say you have an email provider that's paid, or you have you're going out to buy boxes or poly bags, or maybe your scale breaks, you need to buy a new scale to weigh your stuff for Amazon. You're putting it all on one card. That's a no-no. Do not do that. I don't know what this means, but just don't do that, because when it comes to organizing your bookkeeping and getting ready for taxes and all that, and God forbid you ever got audited by the IRS, it would be an absolute nightmare trying to differentiate the two. So it's a lot easier just to have a separate business account, a business checking account, a business credit card, and then having your personal credit card, your personal savings checking account, and just keep them separated. It's going to make your life so much easier, and it's going to help you to be able to manage your finances without having to dig into like just a whole like nightmare of expenses from personal and business. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 to better manage your finances as an entrepreneur is to make sure you stay on top of your bookkeeping. And we talked about this in tip number 2, separating your credit cards and whatnot, personal and business. Make sure you stay on top of your bookkeeping. If you're running a business, it's not sexy. It's not fun having to sit down and, manage your bookkeeping and writing down all your expenses and just, creating spreadsheets and Excel and all these things that just they aren't sexy. They aren't fun. But it's part of the game because, your accountant's going to need that information for you to, prepare your tax return. And, also if you have bad bookkeeping, you could actually be losing a lot of money, just on taxes alone. You could be paying more than you actually owe. So I'm not going to dive into the nuances of bookkeeping. At the end of the day, just make sure you have a system, whether it's GoDaddy Bookkeeping or QuickBooks, or you hire an outside bookkeeping company, or your CPA handles it. I don't know what that is going to be for you. And I'm going to make some more videos on this in the future because I'm actually going through some changes right now with my bookkeeping. But make sure you stay on top of your bookkeeping each and every month. Schedule it out, right? If you have a calendar, a physical one, or maybe use Google Calendars or whatever your system is for tracking, what you have to do during the month, mark down a date at least once a month and, make sure to schedule that in. Bookkeeping. You're going to organize all your receipts, or maybe you're going to go through shoebox.com, which is a service that allows you to be able to send in all your receipts to them, and then they organize it and everything like that. I'll link that up below. It's a really good service I've heard of, and I actually might be trying it myself. But make sure you take care of your bookkeeping. That's the bottom line. All right, so we kind of already talked about this during tip number 1, which is tracking your spending to see, how much money you're spending in each category. Tip number 4 is making sure you read all your credit card and bank statements. We've kind of already talked about this, but I have to drill this into your head, guys, because I can't tell you right now how many mistakes, how many things could be going wrong right now in your finances that you have no clue about because you're not checking your statements. I mean, one thing that happened to me recently was I actually had some fraudulent charges on one of my credit cards that my credit card company didn't even catch. They didn't even catch it. And if I wasn't checking my statements, I would have lost out on about $600. So that's just one example right there. Make sure you're checking your statements. Make sure you're not getting overdraft fees. Make sure you're not having money getting pulled out that you never authorized. Who knows? Even another additional benefit is you can actually see certain things that you're getting charged for that you didn't realize. Maybe you canceled a subscription. You didn't realize that didn't go through. There's a million different things that could go wrong in your finances if you're not tracking them. So track your credit card statements each and every month. You could either, enable your online banking to check that out, or you could log into your credit card company's website and check your statements that way. You've got to make this a part of your routine. And I tell you, I'm going to be honest, I'm not talking down to you guys right now. I'm like literally saying this to myself because, a couple of years ago, I fell into this trap. I wasn't even checking my statements. I wasn't checking my bank statements. Money was coming in, money was going out, and I was just like, I was being an idiot. I wasn't being smart, and, I got myself into trouble, and luckily I was able to get out of it. So make sure you're checking it. It's really, really big right there, and that's tip number 4. Tip number 5. All right, guys, so this tip is super important, and this is something that's helped me out a ton. Create a bills calendar and or spreadsheet. Essentially what you're going to do is create some type of spreadsheet that has all of your bills, right? So your electricity, your rent or your mortgage, your water bill, your phone, internet, all that stuff, and create just a spreadsheet going downwards. And next to that, you're gonna have the date that each bill hits. So maybe every 5th of the month, you get charged your water bill. And then the next column over, you're gonna have the form of payment that hits your account. So maybe that's a credit card, your PayPal credit cards for the water bill, maybe your Capital One credit card is for your electricity. I don't know what it is, but make sure you have that down because you wanna be able to look at this spreadsheet and know what all your bills are. When do they hit? What account are they hitting? What day are they hitting? And it's going to help you so much more to be able to manage your finances and make sure that you pay your bills on time because, there's a lot of things that could happen and go wrong if you don't pay your bills on time. It could hurt your credit, Who knows, your lights could go off. You want to make sure you manage this part of your finances and making sure you're taking care of all your bills and paying your loans and all that good stuff. So having that sheet available and looking at it, having it in a folder next to your desk and taking it out a couple times a month, it's going to help you that much more to be able to create a system and take care of your bills. Tip number 6, automate your bills if possible. So what I've done with a lot of my bills is I've made it so it's automatic. It just happens automatically. So for example, with my internet bill, it hits my checking account each and every month at the same time. I don't have to do anything. I've given them the direct access to be able to bill my account. The same thing with a lot of my other bills, health insurance, car insurance, it's all automated. And nowadays, you know, these techniques are really, really safe. I know 10, 15 years ago, people were scared about, you know, issues happening with their credit card and their bank information getting released. And obviously these are still things that, you know, could happen. But if you're messing with a lot of these bigger, more reputable companies, I really wouldn't worry about it. And I haven't had any problems with it over the last 4 or 5 years since I started doing this. So if you can automate your bills, you know, having to spend the time to manually pay all your bills, it does take time. It really does. And, you know, time is truly the most valuable thing in this world. So automate your bills if you can, if it's something these companies allow you to do, and you're going to save a lot of time and also make sure that your bills get paid. Only thing I want to say is make sure you got money in your account. Tip number 7, create buckets for where you allocate your money. So what do I mean by this? Well, I actually learned this technique from T. Harv Eker, and when I went to the seminar, it was called I believe it was the Millionaire Mind Intensive. I went there with Dave Koziel a while back, and they talked about allocating your income to different buckets. So think of it this way, guys. Say you make, I don't know, $100,000 per year, or let's make it even more simpler. Maybe you make $10,000 per month, right? You want to allocate a certain percentage of your income each and every month to different buckets. So for example, maybe, you know, 10% goes to long-term savings. Maybe 5% goes to your retirement plan. Maybe another 5% goes to investments. Maybe 55% of that is for necessities and bills and, you know, things that you have to pay on a everyday monthly basis. Maybe you have an emergency fund. Create buckets for your income and allocate your money appropriately. And that's one thing that I've been doing recently. And it's really helping me to make sure that, you know, not only am I saving money and I'm investing money, but also I'm hitting all the different areas that I want to hit and the different goals that I have. So we'll talk more about that later, but definitely check out the strategy of putting your money into buckets. Just Google it. There's a lot of information out there, but I'll be sure to make another video about that in the future, talking more about that and how it all works. But it's definitely a cool technique to be able to manage your finances and allocate your money properly. Tip number 8, plan for taxes. Uh-oh, he did not just say that. He did not just say plan for taxes. I said it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be the guy to deliver you the bad news, but any income that you make, you're legally supposed to claim it and pay taxes on it. So with that being said, make sure you plan for taxes. So I'm not going to sit here and play an internet CPA or an internet accountant. I'm just an average guy running a business, making it happen. But the advice I could give you is hire a really good CPA or accountant. Get advice from somebody who knows their stuff. You know what's bottom line? You're going to have to pay taxes, so make sure you're prepared. One thing that I've done in my business, which has helped me to, you know, prepare and plan for taxes, is not only having a CPA that helps a lot, but I actually set up something that's called estimated quarterly payments. I'm making estimated tax payments on my projected revenue each and every quarter. And then at the end of the year, instead of being stuck with a big $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 bill, it's split up into quarters. Now, you know, one of the drawbacks to that is, you know, you have to let go of your money when, you know, let's say you're tight on money, you could have been investing that in your business. So I'm kind of letting go of it, but I'm kind of trading that off for not having to be stuck with a really big bill at the end of the year. So that's just one example of how I plan and prepare for taxes. But really, in order to best manage your finances, you've got to have a really good accountant and or CPA on your team to help you out. So go get one. Tip number 9 to better manage your finances as an entrepreneur is make sure that you're properly covered with all insurances. And again, this is another area that I'm actually working on myself. I'm actually covered pretty well. You know, I've got good car insurance. I've actually got some decent health insurance, which is actually an area that I want to start looking more into because I feel like I'm kind of paying a lot compared to what I was paying last month. But anyways, that's a whole nother video. Make sure you're covered with insurances, because there's one huge thing that could destroy all of your finances, and that's getting into a car accident, or something really bad goes with your health, or maybe you become disabled. There's a lot of insurances that are out there, from my understanding, that could protect you in those events. And God forbid something went wrong in one area of your life. If you weren't covered with the proper insurance, it could absolutely drain your account to zero and beyond. So make sure you've got proper insurances. I know maybe that's easier said than done for some folks. Again, I'm not an expert in this area, but based on my research and based on talking to a lot of people, one of the hugest killers of your finances, could be not properly insured. Tip number 10, break down all of your income and expenses each and every month. You won't believe how many times I didn't even take this advice when I was younger and when I was first starting my business. Again, I was just making money, I was spending money, and as long as my bills were paid and my money wasn't going down too quick, I was fine. Big mistake, really big mistake. Make sure you create a spreadsheet. I'm actually gonna link you up with a really good video that my buddy Stefan Palerno's created over at Project Life Mastery. And he's actually giving away a free spreadsheet that shares kind of exactly how he does it. And I do pretty much the same thing. It's a free downloadable spreadsheet that will actually map out all of your income, all of your expenses, how he does it bi-weekly. It's really cool. But really, at the end of the day, make sure you're tracking how much money you're bringing in, how much money you're spending, and really analyzing if you're making money. A lot of people think they're making money, but they're actually not. They're in debt and they're just kind of spinning the wheel. So make sure you analyze this. Make sure, again, splitting up your business from your personal, the credit card separate, the bank account separate, is gonna make it that much easier. But just trust me on this. Make sure you're spending at least once or twice a month, breaking down all of your expenses and all your income. It's gonna help you that much more to manage your finances. Tip number 11, make sure you pay off credit cards or your high interest credit cards or loans first. Recently, I actually had a loan on a car that I had gotten 5 years ago, and it was actually a high interest loan because I didn't have any credit at the time. I was actually working at a pizzeria. I was making like $300 a week, and I had gotten a car loan that was at like 10 or 11%, and I wasn't smart about it. I never refinanced it. I don't know why, even though my father, who's a CPA, was saying, do it. To make a long story short, I had that car loan pretty much until like the end of the term of it, and I recently just paid it off. There was like $5,000 left. I paid the whole thing off, but by the time I paid it off, I mean, most of the interest was already paid, and it was just principal. So, if I could go back in time, I would have paid that off a while ago when I had the ability to, or I would have started making double payments each and every month because I had the money in order to pay it off quicker and, not pay as much in interest. I mean, a lot of people don't realize when you buy a house, when you buy a car, a lot of times you're paying double or triple of the value of that car or that house over whether it's 5 years, 7 years, or 30 years after interest is accrued and whatnot. So, if you've got loans that you can pay off, pay them off. I mean, I just read a book by Dave Ramsey. It super freaking inspired me. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to live in debt anymore. I was like 5 or 6 grand in a hole. And I'm like, why do I even have this anymore? So I paid it off. Make sure if you have any credit cards that you're in debt with, maybe one of the credit cards is at like 19% interest. The other one's at 15%. Say you're in debt like 5 grand on this and 2 grand at that one. Start paying off the highest interest one first and get rid of those credit cards because those will kill you. Credit cards are awesome. I use them in my business. I use them in my life every day, but I pay them off in full at the end of the month. So you don't want to get into debt. You don't want to fall into that trap, and making sure to take care of, those high interest loans and credit cards is going to help you that much more to hold on to your money and grow your money as well. All right, guys, so we're coming to the end of this video. Tip number 12. Let's dive right into it. Live within your means. Now, this is a very simple concept, and you might be thinking to yourself, well, I live within my means. I'm not out there buying Ferraris and Lamborghinis and, 6,000 square foot houses and yachts and all that. But really, I'm joking, but make sure you're not going into debt to get the things that you want. I mean, if you can't afford it and pay cash for it, I really don't even think you should get it. Now, again, there's a lot of opinions on this, going into debt, good debt, bad debt. I'm not going to talk about that. Right now I'm talking about, just not going out and buying things that you really don't need and that you really can't afford. I mean, based on your income and based on how much you're making, you know what you can afford. You know how much is too much. You know that if you go out and get that BMW, you're going to have that $700 a month payment. You know that that's going to cause a lot of stress in your life, because you want to know what, when you go out and you spend money on all these expensive things and you're getting all these loans, it's stacking up your bills, right? And the more bills you have, the more pressure you have to continue making that much money or more. And especially if you're an entrepreneur, income comes in cycles at times. There's months where I do super well. There's other months where it's a little lower, and it's just the way that business is, at least for me. Make sure that you live within your means. Make sure you're tracking what you're spending. Make sure you know how much money you're making and how much you have in expenses. Make sure you have an emergency fund. Make sure you have long-term savings. Make sure you're investing money, that you have money for your retirement. There's so many things we could get into, and really, to be 100% honest, I'm no expert at all. I'm pretty much an amateur when it comes to this, and I'm still learning myself, but I'm really, really working hard on learning how to better manage my finances. And really, I didn't want to come to you guys with this video, in the position that I'm an authority, because I'm really not, but I am somebody who's learning a lot and really trying to implement these strategies, and it's been helping me out a lot with my finances. Really, at the end of the day, the message I want to send across to you is, you've got to focus on your finances. What you focus on grows. If you ignore your finances, if you ignore your credit card statements, if you ignore your income and your expenses and just have your fingers crossed that everything's going to work out, a lot of times it's not, and things are going to happen to you. So you've got to focus on your finances. You've got to focus on managing what you already have and figuring out how to grow what you already have if you want to be able to grow something bigger down the road. If you can't manage 10 bucks now, you're not going to be able to manage 10,000. You're not going to be able to manage 10 million. So manage what you have now. Hopefully these tips helped you out, guys. I really appreciate you watching this video. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe. I've got a lot of videos, over 1,000 videos talking about how to make money, Amazon, eBay, inspiration, motivation, entrepreneurship. I really enjoy making videos, and I hope this video was able to inspire you and maybe add some value to your life. So with that being said, keep on picking and making that money, and drop a comment below and let me know some tips you guys have for personal finance. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.